DBT, like it's really creating views for you, uh, not tables, unless you. It's really always creating views, unless you specify otherwise, which we haven't seen how to do. And that with a view, what you have is you have like the base table. Like this is an actual table, like this would be like maybe our customers. Okay. And then let's say we want to make a transformation, right, with DBT. When you do the DBT run, what will happen is it will then, say we like do lowercase of the customer name. And we can do that, or even in like Postgres, could create view as select all, let's say select lower name from customers. Okay, if you want to put in the schema prefix, you can do that. Okay, so this will be our view, and then so what will happen is that will create kind of like, I'll try to do this maybe dotted. Okay, so this is, it looks like a table, right? And we'll call this, I forgot it. We can call this as stage customers, something like that. And now it looks like a table in the sense that you can now do like select all from stage customers. But really, when you do that, what's happening is that it's going to actually requery, like look at this statement, select lower name from public customers, and requery the base table. Okay? So every time you do this, it's actually requerying from the base table. So then why do the view, at all? When like we kind of can store our queries. I think that's kind of like the main reason, and treat them as if they are tables. Okay, so that's the benefit. Another benefit that people have, that I think the reading mentions too, is like, let's say you want a subset of the table moved over here. Like for example, let's say this customers has social security numbers right in here. Well, guess what? We're just creating a view that has that only pulls over the name, right, and has nothing about, is not copying over that SSN column. So if I give someone access, but only give them access to the view and not the base table, right, it's a way for me to make sure, okay, things are in sync. They can do whatever they want with this subset of the data, right? So also it could be used for like security. Just give a subset of the data. But really, like, we're doing it more for just, it's easier, right, to kind of say, to just think of this as a separate table. And it's not a big deal for it to requery it. Now, when it is a big, if we wanted to change that, we could have this be like a materialized view. And with a materialized view, it's actually, when we create the view, it's actually going to create and copy over the data. Okay? So what's the benefit of materialized view is mainly that it's faster, right? We are what's called caching, meaning we're storing the results somewhere. Caching just means storing the results. Okay? So we're caching the results of the query in an actual new table, taking up new disk space, right, on your computer. But in order to achieve that, a tool like Snowflake, Redshift, what it has to do is make sure that when you query this, that this thing, if we create it, we copy it over the data, and we have these 3 additional rows from the base table, if someone adds in a new column here, we need to make sure that this is also, that we have kind of copied this over. Okay? So there's different ways it does this. One, it has like batch jobs, right? Where say like every day it will look to see where are your views, what are the base table, copy it over. And then secondly, if you query the stage customers, let's say between the batch jobs and there was an update, it will first probably see like, is this updated? If so, migrate over, then perform the query. Okay? So that's kind of some additional overhead that will need to occur. So that's why, you can go through that reading in Snowflake as to when to use when, and it's like when this base table isn't changing very often, right? Like that's where you can rely on using a materialized view because you don't have to worry about the syncing so much. I'm trying to think of there are things like that. If this query is long running, right? If this thing is a lot more complicated than just lowercase the names, then maybe you do want to cache it that way, and you do want a materialized view. That way, you're not re-performing all these transformations every time you query this table. Okay, or this view, I should say. All right. What's next? So go through that reading again. It's worth it. Look through the Snowflake documentation that's linked to. And then the next thing to talk about, and we've kind of like alluded to this, I think multiple times now, is what we'll be moving through, like the structure of our tables in DBT. So just to remember, right, like the idea, like our overall data pipeline is that we're going to get data from many different sources, right? You can see these are our third-party sources, as well as our Postgres database. And we can use, right, this is saying extract and integrate. This is basically saying like, hey, we want to move this data over to a data warehouse, right? And how we do this, we can do this with Prefect. We can do this with something like Fivetran, or there's alternatives. Maybe a combination of the two. But basically, we'll be taking all our data sources, moving it over to a data warehouse, and then using DBT to coerce the data, so that essentially we have these data marts, and maybe we connect a dashboard to each one. And you can see that, like, you can imagine creating that star schema for like the product team, and the finance team, and the marketing team, and like manage the inventory, or something like that. So there's various teams that maybe each just need 5 tables to look at, and we could just set up a different schema for each team and eventually do this. So these would be like our MART tables, and that's like the end result, right? That we're trying to ultimately get to. But to do that, to ultimately get to the MARTs, we'll go through different pieces of this. The first part is the source tables. And this is just our like Northwinds database that we already loaded in. Like this is the raw data that we have in our database, before we do any kind of transformations. Then the next step is staging, okay? So this is what we'll get into today. With staging, the idea, let me make this a little bigger. The idea with staging is that we clean up each one of our sources. So you can see there's a one-to-one. HubSpot, we have like maybe some HubSpot data. We clean it up. We create a file to clean up the HubSpot data. We see like there's, Stripe payments. We create a SQL file to clean up, the Stripe payments. And we'll probably probably it will be even more than one. It will probably be one for like, maybe it's for, the purchase that they made. We have a purchases table. We have a customers table, and it's Stripe purchases, Stripe customers. So we'll see that. But then in the next step, and we won't get into this today, but later on we'll see, we're going to need to do the work of combining the data from these different sources. So what you can see in integration is that we no longer are saying like HubSpot or Asana or Stripe, right? It's more starting to feel like our MART, and that we have like integration users table. Right? In other words, we're taking the user's data, we're going to have to combine the user's data from HubSpot, Asana, Facebook, right? And just create like one user's table from it. That's the idea, right? Because some of our users, maybe like we have their information in HubSpot, other users, maybe we have their information in Stripe or Facebook, right? And we want to combine, like get a one kind of manifest list of our users, and then we want to somehow figure out this user was associated with this project, etc. And then you'll see it's actually not a lot of work from there to then get into our marts, which is what our stakeholders will query. Like they won't really need to see all of this work, they can just go to the tables and the mark schema. So this is the flow that we'll be moving through, right? It starts off with like messy source data, then we clean up each of the sources individually into staging, then we combine them where we can, right? Take the users from each one of these sources, combine into one table, and then we'll have to also like associate proper foreign keys, saying like a user belongs to a company and things like that, and that's going to lead to like our final stage of like these marks. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah, this just shows you, like the data comes in a little messy, so you clean it up, you maybe rename the column names, things like that. And then finally we have the mark tables. So that's what we'll be moving through. In order for, we can start doing some of that. Like we can start with staging at this point. Yeah, go ahead, Narapati.
So the data mart, so each mart will have its own star schema.
If it's like, you can imagine something like this, where each data mart would have its own star schema. Yeah. If, say, the product team would have their own, star schema, and the marketing team. Now, not every, different analytics teams will do this differently. So it could just be one, it could just be one large mart, and they give everybody access to it. But this is a different way of doing it. A lot of as the company matures and the analytics stack matures, it probably starts to look more like this. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's look at the DBT code base. Yeah, so but as of now, right, you probably have done the DBT init, and what that does is, initializes our Northwind code base. Once you do like a DBT run, it will create these logs. One thing to check that, is easy to make a mistake with is you can see I made a Git repository. How do I do that? You just type Git in it, right? Make sure you don't have two of them. You'll probably run into an error if you have two of them, meaning that I'm not sure if this, I don't think it did for me, that it created a Git repository here as well, but just make sure, right? This is my Git ignore file. It's not my Git repository, okay? So in other words, if you had two, you would see a .git folder here. But instead for me, I just see it here, okay? Been there, done that. Yes. So the other thing I added was this .git ignore. Let's just see. Yeah. So let me show you what's in that and how that works. And this is a reason why, by the way, I'm like at this level is where I'm putting the Git repository. Is partially because I want to actually include my Git ignore file. So can I open this up? Here's my code base. Sorry, I did do some work before class. Okay, here's my Git ignore. You just want to make sure that you have this right. So it's like I want to ignore my Venv folder, right? This has my environment in it, and I don't need people to push that up, right? This has like my packages. It also is just going to become very large, right? To have all those libraries, they don't need that. They have the requirements.txt, and they can just install it themselves. So I have that, and then also the logs. Okay, so then I don't need that either. Because I have it set up that way, when I type git status, notice there's nothing about those folders. It's not saying, hey, that we're about to add the Venv in the logs. Let me show you if I had it messed up. Like for instance, I put it like this initially today when I was playing around. The current folder /Venv, and then I just type git status. And you see that? This is not working because it's now going to push up my logs and my Venv folder. So let's change it back. We'll just literally write Venv and logs and then type git status again. And now this looks good. All right. The next thing I forget which one it tells you to start with. I think it starts with shipping. So yeah, maybe it starts with customers. Let me delete some of these files. Just pretend you didn't see this. Yeah, we're gonna have to write some fancy stuff. Okay. So you can have this staging folder if eventually you'll under models. This is literally just code base, right? Folders. So you can just like do make directory, create a folder for staging, and then under this folder, we'll create a new SQL file that's called stage customers. Is fine. We can also call it something. This is fine for now. We could also call it stage RDS customers. This is just to indicate which source this is coming from. Like the RDS, we'll do this eventually. RDS stands for, I think, Relational Database Service. And this is the service. This is actually an AWS term. So typically, right, you would have your database, like this Northwinds database would be living on AWS in production. And, right, we would be maybe migrating, this data, even though we moved it to analytics database, it originally came from here, as opposed to having come from like Mixpanel, right? It came from our, LOTP database. That's all I'm indicating here, is that, hey, this came from my production database originally. Okay. So then the next thing we can do is basically, clean in staging, right? Remember, our first step is like clean up the data. And remember, we already have data, if I type in PSQL-D Northwinds, right, this, and I connect, I'm in Northwinds, and I look at this here, right, this is pretending to be basically our analytics database. We already have this source data, and you can kind of look at it, select all from customers, just to limit maybe 3, select star from customers, limit 3, and you can see we have these different columns, okay? So now one thing you might notice is, right, we have the contact name is the same. It is not split into first name, last name. So like we can just quickly do something like that. So it would be something like, select the customer ID, let me just do this real fast, customer ID, the country, and we'll start with contact name. We'll clean this up in a little bit. And it will be from public.customers. Okay, and this is just the schema, right? And that I'm just using as a prefix. And then how do we do this? We'll probably just make sure this works by doing dbt run. Oops, damn it. Oh, how did I, you're probably running into this error. It says no dbt project.yaml file expected at codebase. So what am I doing wrong? I'm running dbt run from the wrong folder, right? There is no, profile.yaml because I need to be in this. Here's where my project.yaml is. Okay. So now if I do dbt run, hopefully I'll get a little further. I made an error. Let's just see. Select customer contact name. I put an extra comma here. That's a nice error message. Let's try it again. Okay, and this worked, right? And you can see it created a view, dev, stage, RDS customers. Now from here, we'll just do like a little bit of cleanup. Remember contact name, we wanted to split this into 2. So I'll just do a split part. So we'll split on a space, and this is taking the first, if this split into a list, this is taking the first element in the list, and we'll say as first name, comma, split part, contact name, take the second element in the list as last name, okay, from public customers. And I probably can break this into a couple lines. Okay, and let's try it again. Just make sure this is working. Okay, cool. I did it correctly again. Nice. Okay, so this is working, but it's actually not the recommended way of writing DBT code. So let me show you how you're supposed to write DBT code. So for each file, really, what we're gonna do is start with put this in a CTE. So we'll start with source as, and then we'll do select all from public customers, and I'll explain kind of why we're doing this in a second, and then comma renamed as, and now this is like the logical component. This is like what's really doing the work here, and then we'll just do select all from renamed. Okay, so what did I do? Like effectively the results will be exactly the same. Okay, there's nothing that's going to be changed in practice, but this is how you'll see DBT code written and the way that we should write it. And the idea is this right here is called your import and this should be from source. Sorry. So this is like your import CTE right here. Import CTE, okay, is this thing, and this serves just like in Python. If we were going to be referencing another file, we would have to write an import statement, right? Like from pandas or from API.models.user, right? And the idea of that, the reason why Python forces you to do that is it tells you the dependencies of the file, right? It tells you like, hey, this is just one file you're looking at, but it relies on something over here. That's the same idea with this. It's telling you at the very top, like, hey, this model that you're looking at, in DBT we call these things models. This model that you're looking at relies on this underlying table, public customers. Okay, and there might be more than one of these that you have. We could have just said with customers as too, but if there's only one, you can just call it source. So the first thing is you have the import CTE. Then the next thing that typically occurs is you have what's called the logical CTE, and that's what's going on here. So this is doing the work effectively. We're referencing. Now that we've imported it, we're gonna call this thing, reference it as the name we gave it in the CTE, and now we're just performing the transformation in this portion. This can be multiple steps. If this got harder, like we can build onto the CTE, and that's fine. But you always want to have this import CTE, then you have the logical portion, and then finally you have the select statement. Okay, you can do some like little light cleaning up here. Like for instance, if you wanted to just select like a subset of the columns or something like that, that's fine too. But almost all the work should be done like in the logical CTE portion. Okay. I've noticed that select star from customers works the same as select star from public customers here would. Would this not be the best case if there was another schema in the database with the same name? Yeah, so I like having like the schema name here just to be more explicit. It also is kind of indicating that it's also indicating that I'm like going directly to the database right here, which is another reason why I like it, as opposed to say referencing a CTE. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a little clue that hey, this isn't a CTE I'm referencing. I'm selecting from something in the actual database. All right. So just notice also with the CTEs, there's no comma at the end here, and then with this second CTE, you don't do the with again. It's just with source as and parentheses comma, the name of the logical CTE, and then select all from the logical CTE. Now let's just do DBT run again. That worked. We should confirm that it worked. So I'll go into PSQL-D Northwinds. I'll select all from. Oh, by the way, the reason why I couldn't see the table, what was it? I think DT. Remember I tried this, DT dev.star. and it didn't work. I think if I do dv dev.star, that works. So what's going on here is, right, there are no tables created so far. All there are views. So I need to do the /dv to display the views. And now you can see I've done some of this work beforehand, but what we just did was we just created the stage RDS customers. Stage RDS customers. And as you know, we can query our view just like it's a table. So we can do select all from dev.stage RDS customers, limit 3, just to take a look at this. And we did not do a good job, did we? Ugh. Oh, companies. I'm querying the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Stage RDS customers. Okay, there we are. I was looking to make sure that we did successfully split up first name versus last name, right? If you look at the original customer data, select all from public.customers, limit 3, right here it's combined. And with ours, we cleaned it up a little bit. All right? So that's good. Right, remember that if you want to look at how this is compiling, like what this translated into, you can always go to the target and then go to either compiled or run. I think run is closer to, what's ultimately getting run against the database. And then here you can see, it even took in my things, but create view, right? Northwind dev, the name of the database, the name of the schema, right? Stage customers. Okay. Maybe compiled it. I'm not sure. Oh, we got some questions though. What just happened here? All right, let me take a look at the questions. Is it necessary to do dbt compile before you do dbt run each time? No. So, you can do dbt compile. I know in the reading, some of you probably have seen that, the dbt compile. The dbt compile literally will just compile, create these files for you or update them for you, but it won't run it against the database. So if you wanted to, before running it against the database, maybe you have a lot of data, and with analytical databases like Snowflake, you pay per query. That's the way they make their money. So you might want to, to keep those costs low, maybe you'll first compile it, run dbt compile, and then look to see what did it compile to, make sure everything looks good, and then perform dbt run. David asks, does dbt still use the final as select star from final, or do they move away from that? No, David, what you're saying is correct, but typically, this normally your statements will be kind of larger than this. So normally when there's you'll have more than one CTE. So it's the second to last one will be called final. In this case, we only have one, so we can call it whatever. This is also a styling thing, right? We could call that final. That's fine. Other things, if we wanted to remove the view, would we just remove the corresponding .SQL? To remove the view, I think to actually delete the view, you would have to I would probably do that from Postgres, log into Postgres and do drop view stage RDS customers if you wanted to clean that up. I don't think dbt has if I rename this, you can see that I still have the leftover views from when I was doing this some of these labs before a class. So dbt won't delete the views for you. You'll have to log into Postgres and probably just do drop view and then the name of the view. Cool. All right, let's go through some Git practice. So as we said, we want to follow best practices with our code base. This is also just the reason why I'm going through this, and the curriculum emphasizes this so much, is because I want to take this opportunity for you all to practice a good Git workflow. It will come in handy without a doubt. right? If you want to make contributions to open source, if you would just want to like have good code hygiene when we move into internships soon, this is part of being a professional developer. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to type git status and make sure that I'm not including anything I don't want to include, right? So this is looking good. The other thing I want to do, I actually didn't have, I've broke kind of my own rule. I should have just made an initial commit, which I did not do. Like after creating the Northwinds DBT, I should have made an initial commit. I'm going to say it's okay for now, but that would have been the best thing to do. Now, if you look at git branch -a, I don't have an initial commit, so we don't have that. I can probably do, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do git, I could do git checkout main, I guess. It's not working. Git status. Okay, so I'll just add my files for now. And then I'll just walk through what would have been a better workflow. So we'll add everything. Yeah, that's fine. Git add -a, git status. You can see this is everything that's added. It's showing me all kind of the folders, including this one. This is the one I ideally would move to a different one, but let's just keep it simple for now. And now I can make a good, git commit. And now here I'll say like initialize project, DBT repo, and then comma, add RDS stage RDS customers. All right. So that's for a commit message. Here's like a pro tip. If you do git commit -v, you can see this. Here now I can add a multi-line commit. This may feel a little complicated because you're in technically Vim. So if I just type this, like I'm typing characters, it's not doing exactly what I want to do. What you have to do is press the letter I first. You see where it says insert now? And now I can write as normal, right? And I can do something like, initialize git DBT repo, and then comma, add stage customers. And the reason why I like doing this is because if someone gives you an assignment, and say they put this like in a Trello board, which some of you, we can show you what that is, but it's basically like a workflow management, where it has all your tasks to accomplish. You can then reference the story number. So it'll be something like this, like fixes story, and then you can put in the number, or even like C-link, and just copy and paste the link right there. Why is that valuable? Because then, when you go back to git blame and you see not only the commit message, but then you can just click on the link and see all the instructions, right? All the back and forth between you and the project manager and the dev team, everyone, to see why did we make these changes? Should I really be deleting this because it looks like this is useless? All right. So anyway, I think this can really bring some value added. Okay, so what did we do? We did git add, right? Looked at git status to see where we are. Then we did git commit. I did -v, right? And then I just pressed return. And now you can see git status again, nothing to commit. If you type git log, right, -2, we can see this is, okay, my most recent commit message. Let's see what branch I'm on. Now I think it probably puts me on the main branch automatically. Okay. Oh, I forgot to teach us how to quit Vim. Good point. We'll do one more change just for fun in a second. And now if I already did git remote, I already set up my git remote as this code base. And now we'll just push up. Let's push up to main. We'll do one more commit for fun soon. Git push -u origin main. So what this is doing is this is pushing my local main branch, right? I'm on the main branch here, and it's pushing it to the main branch over here. Okay? So another, if you want, this is the shorthand, by the way. If you wanted to do the longhand, you could do this: main colon main, and that says the same thing. This main refers to the local main branch we're on now, and then this main says push your local main branch to the main branch in the cloud. Okay? And I'll press return, and that's now pushing that up. Let's do this one more time for fun, because so this would be maybe your initial commit. Now, every time you make like a subsequent change, right? Here's what you want to do. You get the story. Let's go, maybe there's like a Trello board or something. So you go to your Trello board, right? And someone tells you, let me stop sharing for a second. I'm not sure what we're going to see. It's probably been it's years since I've done this. Okay. So you go to the Trello board, and someone says, you get something from your project manager that basically says do this thing, and this is what, right? You can put the link of this thing right in your git commit message. Okay, so you get this thing, and it says add a Trello tip. So what do? You do git checkout -b. Basically, you're starting off, you're on the main branch. What you want to do is move over to a branch to make your change. You never want to make changes directly on the main branch. Why is that? You're going to accidentally push to the main branch without running all your tests, and then every other developer who's working on the main branch, they're going to pull down, and they're going to get all your mistakes, right? And that's going to mess up everybody's workflow. So you never want to work directly on the main branch. So instead what you do is you do git checkout -b, and then you name your branch. And normally your branch comes from the story, from the task that you're working on. So this could be we'll call ours clean RDS stage customers. This thing can be long. In fact, the way when I worked, we would even put the story ID directly in here. It'd be, say this thing got an ID, this thing, we would put that directly here. All right. Now we've just created a new branch. Let's take a look. We're at git branch -a. So I'm on this new branch. I don't like the way this looks. I would probably just do this is enough. But anyway, we're on our new branch. Now we can begin to code. All right. So now let's say we have, just call this, last and first instead of first name, last name. We take a look. We type in git status. Here's my git status. We can see that the only file I changed was this one, right? Even though I have all these other files in Northwind's DBT, Git is picking up that this is the only thing that's changed. I can even look at it if I type git diff. And now we can see it thinks that we deleted this line and we added this one, right? And that actually we added in, really all that's different is this is last and this is first, okay? So the red is for delete, the green is for added. It's pointing out that I have an extra space there that I should delete. So delete it. And now I type git diff again, and that space is gone. Okay, which is nice. Again, it's good just to have good git commit history. What's next? Now do git commit. Everything looks good, right? Git status. This is the only file we changed. Git commit -v for visual mode. Wait, did I not add it? I didn't add it yet. Sorry about that. Git status, git add to update what will be committed. So if I only want to add one of, specify which of the files I'm adding, I can just paste that in here. Git add this file, and now do git status again. This is now in staging, right? So now what's next? Let's just type git status again. I type it all the time. We're about to do git commit -v. All right, press return. Now I'm in, you can see it, you see there's no cursor, it's highlighted almost. That means I'm in escape mode, what's called escape mode. So what's like escape mode? Escape mode is for like all these different Vim shortcuts. Like you can go to the bottom of the file by pressing Shift G. You don't have to worry about this. You can go to the top by pressing like lower. The point is, there's just these various shortcuts that whatever people can use. All right, you don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about is how to type. So you just type I, the letter I, and now you see it says insert. Now I can say, change stage customers to have columns first and last. And then we can say fixes, and then we'll take this, and maybe you could put just like the this number here, and then see this right here. All right, and now we have it. So again, like when we go back through the history, is great. I just can click on this. It can go back years, right? Like you're gonna come into a code base, and everyone who wrote that code base has left the company, and so now you're wondering, what the hell does this code do? So you can see what commit made it, and now I can not only see that, but I can just click the link and see what they were talking about and why they made this change, right? And that's really valuable because, again, if you want to clean up the code, you want to make sure you're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, that you're not introducing a new bug by making a change, that overrides what they're trying to do here. And now, okay, now here's what I'll do. So I'm in insert mode, right? You can see I'm typing. I'm going to press 2 escapes, escape, escape. Notice that that word insert disappeared, and I'm going to do :WQ, which means write, as in save your changes, and then quit. Okay? So just to say that again, I'm in insert mode, typing. I press escape. I think I only need to press it once. Yeah, I only have to press it once. And then I'll do :WQ. Write the changes and then quit. Now I'm out. All right? And now it looks like this commit was made. All right? And now I can do get status. And it says get log. Now just remember what's going on here. Maybe I'll, sorry that this is becoming a little long, but it's probably worth it. Remember what's going on here. What happened is we have 2 branches, right? We have the main branch. This is my main branch. And that branch has 1 commit on it, right? The initial, that initial commit. Then we did git checkout -b for like the feature, what's called like the feature branch or the bug branch, right? To make the changes that we're currently making, changing that column name to be first and last. And then we made a commit on here. So we still don't have the commit on the main branch, all right? So typically what you'll do now, so and we can just confirm that, right? If I do git log, you can see that I have 2 commits on this feature branch. If I do git checkout main, just switch over to the main branch and do git log, there's only 1 commit here. Okay, only 1.
We see the whiteboard.
Oh, you see the whiteboard. Thank you. Yeah, so you can see that, right? If we look at the feature branch, you can see there's 2 commits, and then I did git checkout main, and now there's only 1 commit on the main branch, right? Which falls in line with what we were saying. Sorry, I wanted to share the whiteboard one last second. Which is in line with what we were saying, right? The main branch has 1 commit, and we both get the commit from the main branch, and we also have the commit from the feature branch on the feature branch, right? This feature branch has 2 commits, but the main branch only has 1. So that's what you're seeing here. If you look at the feature branch, it has, sorry about that. This is the feature branch. This has 2 commits. And then once I check out main, the main branch only has 1 commit. All right? So what do you want to do? There's different workflows. Um, Typically what you'll do, let's go back to the feature branch. I can just copy, if I just do git branch dash A, and we can go through this again, don't worry. I can just do git checkout, the name of the feature branch. That works fine. Let's just do that to keep things simple. And now, again, just confirm. We have, two kind of commits here. Typically, what you'll do is you'll run all the tests. There will be a test suite. You'll run all the tests, and make sure everything is green. The other thing you'll do is you'll probably push this feature branch up to GitHub, right? If you go to GitHub, it doesn't have anything about this feature branch. You haven't saved anything. So now we can do git push origin. Origin just means GitHub, right? It literally is just your GitHub address. All right? So git push origin, and now we want to push to this branch, the branch name that we have, this thing. Okay? And remember what this is shorthand for. Push my local branch here to my remote branch with the same name. Okay? So now press return. And now look what it said. You can also see this here. Created a new branch. This local branch going to this remote branch. Right? By remote, I mean GitHub. So now if you go to GitHub, you can see, there it is. Was pushed 2 seconds ago. And if I refresh this, right, we'll see this as well. So I go to main, here it is. Now it gives you options, right? What you can do is compare and pull request. Well, I guess I'll show you how to do it this way. So basically from GitHub, so notice the main branch, if you look at the commits, it still only has, take a look, it says there's only been one commit, right? If you look at the feature branch, there's been 2 commits. So still our task is to take the changes from the feature branch and move it to the main branch. So the way that you can do that is you can click on this compare and pull request. And what this will do is basically you're asking the open a pull request, right? It's a request because this is the feature branch asking the main branch to please accept its changes. All right, that's the request. You're asking the main branch. You can imagine like you're the feature branch. You're asking the main branch to please accept the changes. This is the commit message. Create the pull request. So now we're going to ask for that change. Now you can now the request is here. This is kind of like the request, and here's where people can like say yes or no. Hey, this code sucks. And now I believe this means, is this going to merge it? This isn't, oh, here it is, merge the pull request. Okay, and it's saying, hey, there's no issues. Now we can finally, approve the changes by merging in the changes from the feature branch into the main branch. Confirm the merge. All right, now let's go over to the main branch. Okay, and now you can see there's 3 commits, which may feel weird, because why is there 3? We'll talk about that. So the first commit is, right, that initial commit that the main branch always had. The second commit is the commit that we made on that feature branch. And then the third commit is like basically saying, hey, I have accepted, I've gotten this pull request and I have accepted it, right? Because maybe there were some changes we made in that. I don't, that could also be the case. But there's a third commit for actually, the action of moving the code over, all right? That we've moved this over from the feature branch, okay? So now where are we? Let's take a look. Sorry that this is feeling long. Git branch -a. We're on the feature branch. We can delete that if we want. We don't really need it anymore because everything, we both pushed it up to GitHub. We still have it here. And because we merged it here, if you want to, let's first go to the main branch. So do git checkout main. And now just take note of something. If I do git log, just do git log full. There's still only one commit on the main branch. All right. So now we have this issue, which is that GitHub has the main branch has 3 commits, whereas this local only has 1. So what should we do? We should pull down updates, okay? From the main, we should sync these. Basically, we want to pull down the changes from this main branch onto the local same branch. So that'll be git pull origin main. Okay. Press return. Notice what it says. It is this right here is saying we are kind of adding in from this commit to this commit. Like these are the 2 commit SHAs, right? That we are updating it with. And what this has in terms of files, what it's added is this one file. Okay, it's like deleted. It's added 2 lines and it's deleted 2 lines, right? It changed those lines about the column names. And now we're good, right? Now if you look at the main branch, like not only does this, what is going on here? Sorry about that. Let's take a look. Not only does this have, why does it have all this? Oh, this is my compiled. I'm sorry. If I look at this, it has the first comma last, right? Which it got from, pulling down these changes. Also, if we look at the log, kind of even more importantly, notice we now have 3 commits, right? We have the original, we have the one, the actual change, and then we have the pull request. So now we are in sync. So, the readings walk you through that workflow, but just to kind of, remind you, basically what you want to do is first, you're on the main branch. You want to check out, create a feature branch, git checkout -b, name of feature branch. Okay, so you git checkout. Now I'm on that new feature branch. Git branch -a. We're on the feature branch. You make your changes, things look good. Git status, git add. Let's just do something. Did something. Git add -a. Git status. This is now in staging. Make your commit. Git commit -v. Type the letter I. Fixes something. Add in the link. Press escape. We're no longer in insert mode. Do :WQ. Cool. We've now on the feature branch. Git log. Added a new commit. Next step, push up this local feature branch to the feature branch here, right? Make a new feature branch. Git push origin, the name of this branch, which is, I forget, sorry, git branch -a, git push origin up to here. Now this is pushing locally to origin. You can kind of confirm that here. Then you'll create the pull request. That will merge the feature branch into the main branch on the cloud. And then the last step you'll have to do is then go back to the main branch on locally, right? And then pull down from this updated main branch on GitHub, sync it back down locally. All right? Like I said, we can do all of that again and again and again. But understanding that will help. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just, there's more to get than that. We probably won't go further than that, but that at least will, get you in a proper workflow.